This video attempts to show you how to use a TI 84 graphing calculator, but you could use any scientific calculator to do all of the computation for one problem without doing little intermediate steps in between where students are tempted to round in the middle. Not round in the middle, you should just use the formula and find the final answer and only round at the end. So consider the following problem where you want to put $25,000 in an account, let's say for a quinceanera, and so you leave it in there for 15 years and it's earning 4.75% APR compounded monthly. The formula that we would use would come from our worksheet here, and this formula is the formula used where you put a principal in here, that's the original investment, and you put the APR in decimal form, which is right here, and the appropriate N for compounding here, and Y is the number of years. So we would start off with 25,000, and I was doing that on my keyboard, but you can also, this calculator emulator, use the keypad here. Push multiplication, even though it's not required on mine, but it might be on yours. And you open a parenthesis for the 1 plus the APR. Remember, the APR has to be in decimal form. So we're putting $25,000 in an account earning 4.75%. The decimal form of 4.75% is 0.0475. And I said it was going to be compounded monthly. So we have to divide that by the appropriate end value of 12. Then you close the parenthesis and raise that to the appropriate power. And my calculator, it just goes up here in exponent land, and I can put things without having to put them in parentheses. But a lot of for your calculators, you would have to use parentheses. So I'm going to do that. Sometimes you would have a caret key on your calculator or an X to the Y button to use for exponentiation. So the end value is 12, and we were going to leave this in there for 15 years. So it turns out that there's 180 months in 15 years. So that product up there would be 180. But this way, we're doing none of the calculations in the middle. It's very tempting for students to divide the APR by the appropriate end value and round this number before adding it to 1. And that's where you get compounded rounding error. You just simply put that in and round the answer at the end. So this 8 right here in the thousandths place would make this 1 round up to a 2. So the appropriate answer would be $50,905.42, and you only round at the end. Let's consider another problem where, let's say, you want the amount at the end of saving for, let's say, a college fund for a student, where you start saving on day one when they're born, thinking that they will be going to college when they're 18. Let's say that we want this amount here, this A, to be 120,000. We're going to go back here to my calculator, and the formula requires a fraction where the amount you want in the account at the end is 120,000, and you have to divide that by all of the denominator. And the denominator looks a lot like what was multiplied by 25,000 here in the numerator in the last problem. So I'm going to divide that by 1 plus. Let's say that this account was earning 3.89% compounded daily, and you were saving up a certain amount of, you were saving up after putting an initial deposit that's unknown that you're trying to find, so that it will grow to $120,000 in 18 years for your son or daughter that you're saving money for a college fund. The decimal form of 3.89% would be 0.0389. This time I said this account was compounded daily, not monthly, so N was 365. Again, I can use this caret key right here, and that will put me up in exponent land, and just because many of your calculators will require that you would put parentheses, I'll do that. I'm going to multiply that N value, which is not 12, it's not monthly. The N value here should be 365 for compounded daily, and you multiply that by 18 because we were saving, we were putting some amount away for 18 years. And this is going to find what that amount is. Again, you don't want to round this number. If you divide 0.0389 by 5, you're likely to get an answer in scientific notation with some E at the end and a negative number, and it's going to look weird until you add 1 to it, but you don't want to do that. Just do all of the computation in one fell swoop. You would have to put $59,580.54 in to an account on day one that was earning 3.89% compounded daily for 18 years in order for it to grow to 120 grand. So that just shows you how easy it is to use a calculator, and do not round in the middle of the problem. You would want to only round at the very end of the problem. All right, I hope that helps.